Hello, and welcome to today's session on service transactions for YHDP, or the Youth Homelessness Demonstration Project. We're going to be using a specific report that was created for this purpose called Services with Comments, HSN, that's in Data Explorer. It's one of the encourage everybody who is interested in to sign up for a Data Explorer course, so learn how you can create your own reports or even modify the one that we're going to be looking at today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm currently logged into the training environment, and you can tell that by seeing this little kind of graduation cap up in the top. You can click that, and you can also, it'll see here saying that it's Central Florida, HSN Central Florida training. Now, I'm also logged in as HSN support. I'm not going to change that now because you guys can't change it, but that will determine a lot of the things for me, because you can see up here, that's the agency that I'm logged in as. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. Um, this is the home screen when you first log into ClientTrack. What I am going to do over here on these vertical menus, I'm going to click the one for reports. And when that shows up, actually I've been looking at this report already, so it came right up. But typically what you'll get when you click Data Explorer is the search. And what you want to do is you want to make sure, unless you do only want to limit it to reports that you've created, to uncheck this only show my questions. So I'm going to go and select that, even though I created the report and it would show up for me, but for it to show up to you, you have to unclick the question. Now I'm just going to type services with comments, and I'm going to put a percent sign at the end, and that's like a wild card. So anything after that, it'll match with, no matter what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and hit search. Here's my report. Sometimes you can't see the full name, but you can drag it to expand it so you can see the full name. Once you're here, it tells you who created it, when they created it, but you also have this um, icon over here, so that if you wanted to copy this report and then modify it, you could just click here. But we're going to go ahead and look at the report, so we're just going to go ahead and click the report. Clicking it once brings this up. Now, one of the things that I like to do is get as much real estate as possible when I'm looking at a Data Explorer. So I'm just going to click up here and close my kind of a vertical navigation that's based on the primary navigation. Would be a secondary navigation. It will change depending on what you select. So if I select clients, you'll see that this secondary navigation changes. In our case, we want to go to reports, and we also want to click Data Explorer. This is what it looks like when you start fresh. But again, I'm going to go ahead and just do the same thing, services with comments. Once I have it, I can click search. That'll bring up the program, and then I'm just going to go ahead and open it up. Let's close that. So here's our report, and it's already set. You see it's going to be pulling from services. These are actually at this level, when it says what interests you today, gives you the opportunity to pull what are called domains, or it just organizes it for you a little bit. So in this case, we had services. If I click it, I can see all the fields that are currently down here that will show up in my report. And there's additional fields that I could have also included, but I decided not to keep this very straightforward. Now, we can also link the services domain over here with other domains. And later on, we'll talk about how you can do that, so that you can get additional context for the information that you're looking at. But again, this is not about creating the report, it's about using it. I'm just highlighting some of the options that you have. So I'm going to go ahead and just close this down. And again, these are the fields that I had selected. I did rename some of the fields. So this field, notice that when I put my cursor over it, the dark black highlights says service client ID. and so it's now client ID, and basically what I did was click here and I did rename. But you see, if you're looking at it over here, it's going to show up as service client ID because that's how it was originally labeled. So here we go. We have all here. We're going to try to keep it simple. I've organized this in this order. If you wanted to, you could organize it in different orders. And again, that's part of what you learn when you take a Data Explorer course. The next part is about how are we going to filter. And so in this case, I use three filters. One called project name, and I put parentheses. So when I click here and click enter value, I added a, not a parentheses, I'm sorry, an asterisk before and after. And again, when you're doing search inside here, the asterisk serves as a wildcard, which it tells you right up here as well. Now, wildcard means as many characters. It can represent as many characters from one to more on both sides. But if you only want it one character represented, you could use a question mark. But we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to leave it as it is, and I'm going to go ahead and hit done. Now, the next two is the same field, but a different condition. And the first condition, we want to make sure that the report start date is greater than the service date. And actually, you know what? I messed up. This one here should be. Oh no, that's correct. I'm sorry. I'm looking at enrollments. So in this case, the service gives you the range of service dates that you're looking for. So a service date will have to be greater than whatever you set as a start date and less than whatever you set as the end date. Now these here are called variables because when you run the report, you'll be asked to populate them. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now by clicking down here and hitting show me. This could take a little while, but in this case, you see the parameters. I'm going to go ahead and just put, I don't know what data is here, so I'm going to go since the beginning of the year till right now, which is 8/20. All this data is in the training, and so you don't have to worry about um, personal identifying information. But okay, now that we got the date range, we want all the services that fall within that date range. We're going to click done. And now that report comes back up. I can also modify a little bit here. If I want to, I can extend the fields. And some fields I do want to extend. And then over here, I can see the created by. Because the comment is a big deal, and comments are getting cut off. But notice as I move things over, I can scroll um, horizontally to the far right, and I'm also able to scroll vertically as well. Now, in this case, I'm not going to do any quality checks. I was just trying to show you how you can pull the report. You'll notice that all the projects that it pulled had YHDP somewhere in its name based on my search criteria. So you see Family Promise YHDP, Empower YHDP, and then and so on and so forth. Now this again is the training database, so these aren't real data. The other thing that you can look at is you can spot, and it tells you what specific services that you have. Now for this specific project, if you are going to be providing some cash benefit or some benefit that involves uh, um, cash outlay, that you need to make a comment. And you can see some people have already made comments. And again, it may have been a little bit more random because it was training, but you should be able to see the comments. I don't just include services that have comments because some that may need comments won't show up if I do that. And basically you can use this report to see, oh, look, this one here I should have had a comment for. And then you can actually go back into the record and make updates and rerun the report. The report runs live. And so the other thing, the last thing we have about the report, okay, I have this data here. How do I pull it out to be able to submit it to HSN or whoever? Over here to the right, you have this little down arrow, and it gives us some opportunity to download it to Excel. It will always ask you for your parameters again. Make sure you got them right. Hit done. And then you get this little Excel export button, and you're always going to, unless you have a very, very old version of Excel, you're typically going to want to use the version here on the left. If you always want to do that, you can select this so it doesn't ask you. I like it for asking me, so I keep it there. But I'm going to click Export to Excel. Now this part here depends on what browser you're using. In this case, I'm using Microsoft Edge, and so this is the way Microsoft Edge presents it to me. If I wanted to open up the file, I could just click here, but I really don't. Typically, you want to save the file somewhere so that you can look at it and then ultimately attach it to an email, for example. Now notice that in this case, we do not have, even though we have access to, but in this report, we did not include any client personal identifying information. There's no date of birth, there's no name, there's no social security, which is kind of the best practice security wise. If you wanted to get any of this additional information, you can go into the client record as needed. And sometimes you can report on them, but if you do report on personal identifying information, you have to take additional steps to maintain the privacy of that information. So in this case, because I wanted it to export and I do want to save it somewhere, and it gives me the save as, there's two options. If you hit save, it'll save it to your default download folder. I don't, each computer and each browser could have a different default download. I'm going to hit save as, and what this browser does is bring a pop-up list, and then I can actually go, this is my system. I can go reports and I can, go to my agency. You're not going to see all this because this is my computer. You will see the computer, the structure, the file structure on the computer. By default, it uses the name of the report that you ran plus the date that you ran it, appended to export questions. I personally don't like the export question, so what I do before I save it is I take off the export question, and then I'll save it, in the appropriate folder that I have. If I'm running this for March, there may be a folder I call March services or something of that nature. But I'm going to go ahead and just save it in the root here. And then when I save it, fortunately, with Microsoft Edge, I can click this folder and it opens up where I actually saved the file. I'm going to scroll down. There's the file, and I'm just going to double click it to open it. Now I have Excel here on my computer. It's the most recent, and so it requires me for security purposes to enable Excel. Now, all this, we're outside of HMIS at this point. Now we're in Microsoft Excel, and there's the same data, and you can manipulate it different ways. If you know how, I'm converting it to a table. Um, and in a second, see the data is here. I don't know why. Oh, I didn't want all this stuff here added unnecessarily. So I'm going to go and just go back one to erase what I just did. All right, go back. It's working. Here, my computer seems to want to take its time to take off. Okay, and so I'm not gonna. That would be a Salesforce. I mean, not a Salesforce, but an Excel class on how you can manipulate the data. I'm just showing you a few things. You can expand the fields and uh, make sure that it's appropriate. If you then have any questions about anyone, you could use the client ID field to find the client in client track. Um, so once you have that, and then you've validated the data, it's up to you to determine if you have everything you need and it's good to go, and then you're ready to. Oops, where's my? I'm trying to find. Oh, here it is. My HSN. And over here, I'm going to go ahead and close this out for now, and I can go ahead and do whatever else I need to do in client track. So that's a quick run through on how to use Data Explorer to run the services with comments in client track. Thank you very, very much, and have a good day.